Thank you for that reminder, Colleen.
Yeah.
So bright and early this morning, 10 a.m. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So we're going to talk about why recess is so crucial. It is often overlooked in favor of other myriad of things. But Dr. Candelori will go into a myriad of reasons why this is incredibly important to our schools, what's happening in our public schools, and finally to empower you as you go out into your communities to keep this message in your heart and to inspire others to get on the recess train. So let's meet our presenters first. Dr. Candelori.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jaime Candelori. I'm a board certified pediatrician in Central Florida. I've been here for about 18 years, and I'm the mom to two kids in Seminole County Public Schools, two different high schools, actually. I have one at Lyman and one at Seminole because they have very different interests. I'm also the current president of the board of directors for Grow Healthy Kids, mostly because I want to advocate for kids in all levels and really prevent mental health issues. So that's kind of how I became involved in Grow. In my free time, my play is usually running. I like to be outside as much as I can, even in the heat. I'm still probably flushed from my run this morning. And I've, tried a few triathlons as well, but mostly I like to run.
Fantastic. Our next facilitator is Colleen Gonzalez.
Hello, my name is Colleen. I am the mom of two former Seminole County Public School students. My kids are now 21 and 24 and are thriving adults. I'm also the founder and executive director of Grow Healthy Kids. My career background is in human resources, organizational behavior, and training and development. I am an advocate for health and wellness of children and teens. I am also a runner. I started my advocacy journey in 2009 when my very active son received constant red faces at school because he was too active and moving too much in class. Understanding sensory input and how the physical activity helped him, I used my voice and skills to create positive change for his classroom, his school, and then schools in the Seminole County School District. And now collectively, we are impacting schools in 10 Florida counties.
That was a lot of counties. Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Ashley Dykes. I'm the program director here at Grow Healthy Kids. I'm the mom of 3. I'm also in Seminole County. Everybody in my house is neurodivergent. So we deeply understand the challenges of ADHD. My younger 2 are also autistic. I am the data-driven component of our little group here. So if there's anything you guys ever want to know about, what we're doing and what our impact is and how big our reach is, do not hesitate to reach out, but you may get more than what you asked for. Let's see. So I'm all about physical fitness myself. I advocate for fitness and functionality for all ages and abilities. I recently took up paddleboarding. I went back to doing really stupid things in the woods on a mountain bike. And I took up Muay Thai again. So Friday night girl fights. I am not a runner. I'm surrounded by marathoners. So not me. All right, Ms. Colleen.
All right. So about Grow Healthy Kids, our nonprofit was founded in 2015, and our mission is to make a positive difference in children's life simply by increasing opportunities for physical activity and healthy living. We positively impact children on 4 levels. We have one program called Grow Steps, where we distribute shoes to identified students in need. We have Grow Recess, where we provide recess supplies to schools that have limited or no access to recess equipment during that state mandated period during the day. We have a program called Grow Run, where we provide support for school-based run programs to make sure all children, regardless of economics, have access to a lifelong sport. And then our last program is called Grow Trust, where we distribute primarily basketballs as a way to help kids process stress through physical activity and that sensory motion of bouncing the ball, bringing down the cortisol level. So I encourage each of you to learn more about our nonprofit, whether it be through the website or through our social media at growhealthykids.org. And Dr. Candelori. Oh, I can't hear you.
You're on mute, lady.
Sorry, thank you. So I wanted to start this morning with a quote that has been attributed to us, several different people, but we believe that Dr. Maria Montessori said initially that play is the work of children. And Jean Piaget, the psychologist, also has said something similar as well. And so that's kind of the crux of today's talk, is to understand that play truly is work for kids, and that is their work, and it's excellent work. So now I want to run through some of our objectives. Our first one is to get you to understand the impacts of recess. There you go. Thanks, Ashley. So you're going to learn why the 20 minutes of free play that our kids get is so important to the child's development. We will dig into the positive impacts of recess that extend beyond the individual. And then next, we're going to discuss the problems and what the obstacles are that specifically Florida is facing. After that, we're going to go to what Grow's solution has been and how we have been trying to meet the needs of our children in our public schools. And then finally, we will review how you can support healthy active recess for kids in your area. All right, so let's dig into it. The impacts of recess and free play goes well beyond the playground. And actually in 1989, the United Nations declared that children have a right to play. That's how important this is. So this has been going on for a long time. We've recognized it, and we've realized that recess is not optional. It affects child's development in several key health areas, and we're going to go into each one a little bit deeper. Physical, behavioral, social, mental, and cognitive. So recess, we know that it obviously affects the physical. That's pretty obvious, right? So we know that kids are increasing levels of obesity rapidly over the last several decades. And we know that human bodies require movement. And we know that kids, when they're sitting in classrooms, they're not, and they're not moving in general as much as they have in the past. So as kids become more sedentary, we're seeing, as a pediatrician, I see, obesity as a symptom, but then we're also seeing more diseases coming from that. So increased risk of musculoskeletal pain, back pain, high blood pressure. And that's, in all kids. So recess will provide them that opportunity to move their muscles and bones in addition to like PE. And it helps them to create a love of movement because they're not being forced to do something. They're doing the activities that feel natural to them. And it's what they want to do. So it really encourages that love of movement. We also see positive behavioral impacts for kids who have access to recess. It reduces classroom disruptions. It helps the kids get the wiggles out. It helps them reset so that their behavior can reset as well. And because of this, it is important that we never withhold recess as a punishment from children, because kids usually, if they're having behavior problems, prohibiting them from free play will not fix that problem. In fact, it actually often makes it worse. So if you think of the child who has ADHD, who has trouble sitting still at base away as a punishment, you're just going to compound the problem, and it actually creates more problems in the long run. I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. I thought somebody said something. And then also when you really think about how our social skills develop, They don't happen with adults interacting with kids. They often happen with kids interacting with kids. So the creativity that kids can use during recess, they can create games, they create rules, and then they have to learn how to deal with those rules. And so they kind of like create these like little mini um, um, communities where they have to learn how to resolve conflict. It helps them develop empathy, creative problem solving, and being able to practice those skills in real time without the intervention of an adult really allows those social skills to stick and helps them in the long run. It also improves mental health. A recent study in JAMA showed that children and teens who are more physically active are less likely to have problems related to attention, anxiety, and depression. We know that movement boosts serotonin, and that helps with long-term happiness, which we know is preventative in mental health disorders. And we know that we're just seeing rapid increase in anxiety and depression in kids. And this is one way that we can help combat and prevent that. And here's the big one that I think gets missed a lot. So, we have a lot of emphasis on test taking in Florida in the United States. And so the thought is, okay, more sitting down, more teaching, more didactic lessons, less time to play. And that actually bears out to be false in studies. Children can only maintain attention on task for a short period of time, and frequent breaks actually help them to stay focused when they actually need to. Recess aids in neuroplasticity, so it helps kids with those cognitive processing, and it helps them create those connections more strongly. And some of the most academically advanced countries in the world, Finland, Norway, Japan, they have up to 15 minutes of recess every 45 minutes for every 45 minutes of learning, of sit still learning. So, and they have great test outcomes. They have great results. So we know that there's other ways of looking at recess. And then a graph of a small study that was published in March of 2018, and it showed the effects of a 25-minute recess on fifth graders' time on task. The students were observed before recess, and then again for the 30-minute period immediately following recess. And every student experienced at least a 10% increase in time spent on that task, with an average of 34%. So that's a lot better attention, being able to focus on their cognitive learning. Now, as crucial as recess is to a child's healthy development, recess faces many problems. So now we're going to go into the problem that we're facing. So 2 overall challenges: inadequate resources, lack of funding, lack of knowledge, and lack of support. So first one is inadequate resources: space, funding, time. We just don't allocate for it. Florida's population is rapidly expanding, so much that our schools can't handle it. Overcrowded schools have led to then overcrowded playgrounds and no funding for playground expansion. When broken or aging equipment cannot be replaced, it often is allowed to just stay there until it becomes a hazard, and then it's taken down, and the space is either used for portable classrooms or it's just removed. And at some Central Florida schools, the enrollment is reaching 200%, and that doesn't allow for enough outdoor space for kids to have their daily recess. So if you think of all the kids in this limited space, and then they have to kind of rotate these areas, we just don't have the space. Time is another area in short supply. There's only so many school day, and there's that intense focus I already mentioned on increasing test scores. And so the thought is more learning, less recess. This was Elementary playground that's in Seminole County. That was for approximately 680 students. And this would be for a fresh coat of paint that Grow Healthy Kids supplied. It's still much too small for 680 children. Yeah, not all of those kids are going out to recess at once, but more than a few are. There is still rusty exposed metal. There's plastic breaking down. I mean, these playgrounds are in dire straits. And unfortunately, replacing an old playground with enough new equipment is financially out of reach. These playgrounds cost a lot of money, and the schools just don't have the funding for them. And then they've always mentioned liability concerns as well. So we face a lot of challenges. It also battles a lack of knowledge. So as I mentioned before, a lot of people are thinking, okay, more classroom time to get to these test scores rather than looking at what actually works. And so we really want people to understand how important recess is. Um, and even with all the benefits that I previously described a few years ago, the state of Florida was going to have a vote where they were going to that 20 minutes of mandated time was going to be split up. So then honestly, they would have even gotten less time, because by the time you get kids ready and you get them lined up and you get them out the door, that 20 minutes goes through very quickly. If you can imagine trying to do that in 5 minutes, they're just not going to have recess. Thankfully, there were a bunch of moms who discovered this was going to be on the vote and drove to Tallahassee to fight it, and it didn't pass. This is why advocacy and education is so incredibly important. And now I'm going to pass it over to talk about the Grow solution.
All right. So Grow Recess started with one bag. In 2011, teachers at Lake Orienta were in desperate need of recess supplies. Several noticed that they had students that didn't even know what a basketball hoop was for. Teachers repeatedly asked to borrow equipment from physical education for recess, but PE teachers have their own very limited budget. And so those teachers had no equipment to spare. When I discovered this need, I wrote a small grant for recess supplies, and it was awarded, and it was really enough to fund one classroom with supplies. That one set, which was the only set on campus, wound up serving all 700 students. Unfortunately, Lake Orienta's situation was not unique. Other Seminole County schools began looking to Grow Healthy Kids for support. It was clear that recess was a major pain point for other schools as well. It was not an insulated Lake Orienta, Seminole County thing. Over time, I noted several opportunities, and we helped create workable short-term solutions. First, due to playground capacity resulting from infrequent playground access, schools needed help setting up recess zones, encouraging outdoor activity instead of boredom where they are doing desk exercise back in the classroom or encountering conflict. Few schools had access to durable goods for these new recess areas, which also compounded the problem. I set out to identify schools with recess needs and began to work with them to get them supplies that would work, like cones, soccer balls, and bags to transport the supplies in. Another need we addressed was educating others about the need for recess supplies. At the time, parents and teachers were not thinking about recess as a vital part of the day. In fact, when planning for back to school, most of them did not give it a second thought to add it to their classroom supply list. And it became a problem until they found themselves in an empty field for recess with no resources to use. So to address this information gap, we identified relevant advocacy materials and assembled a team. Advocacy videos were created to support both schools that received supplies and those that did not receive supplies to help both of them, those populations, kickstart their own recess initiatives. Various versions of recess supply kits have been tested over the years between Orange and Seminole County Public Schools from 2016 to 2022. And during that window of time, Grow awarded approximately 1,500 recess supply kits within these schools. So today, Grow recess kits contain classic toys, and we provide them to Title I and borderline Title I public schools. These kits are designed to support a portable, active recess and contain a combination of most of these items, like 1 to 2 sports balls, primarily soccer balls, playground balls, footballs, etc. They'll get 2 jump ropes, If they're K1 and 2, they get 7 foot. If they're 3, 4, and 5, they get 16-foot double Dutch length. We provide them scoop ball sets. We provide them disc cones, so no matter where they are, they can set up perimeters or use those cones to create their own games. But these kits build student resiliency by encouraging active problem solving, cooperation among peers, persevering and building social skills, while also reducing stress and anxiety and increasing classroom focus and self-confidence. Hold on one second. Somebody just popped into our lobby. Ashley, are you able to let them in?
I admitted her already. We're good.
Okay, great. Thank you. Get back to where I was. So in 2023, we as a nonprofit had a huge eye-opening experience. When we opened our recess application, we had more than 2,300 teachers apply for support for our nonprofit. These requests came in from 29 counties in Florida, demonstrating that the problem was much bigger in scope and intensity than we previously thought. We read all their stories of extreme overcrowding, condemned playgrounds, hazardous assigned zones, portables taking over outdoor recess zones, and mounting behavioral challenges. Their concerns were increasing while the available options for recess were clearly decreasing. During that time period, we distributed 823 kits across 5 counties, and these were Lake County, Orange, Osceola, Seminole, and Volusia County. And we know that year we impacted just over 16,000 students. There we go.
Okay, I'm going to jump
Sorry
in.
about that. Okay.
Yeah.
What page were we on? Because somehow my thing fell off.
Okay. All right, Colleen, we are on slide 30, but I'm going to go ahead and pick up for you.
Okay.
So, plus this is data, this is my jam anyway. So at the end of each school year, we send out a survey to all of our teachers that did receive. And we ask things like, what did you like in the bag? Is it helping? Is it even, moving the needle at all? And the things that they reported were, well, they were surprising for me because in 23, that was my first year on with this. But, significant improvement to just improvement in, academic performance. Over half of these teachers saw this in their kids. Attitude towards school improved to significant improvement, 71%. Classroom engagement, conflict resolution, that one has to be huge, 71%. Independent learning, it was overwhelmingly positive, the things that these teachers were reporting to us. Discipline problems were dropping, and the focus was up. Plus the perceived physical fitness level. If they're up and running around after a soccer ball, then they're not sitting on the curb in the bus loop. So they saw improvements in self-confidence and leadership, 72%, 84% improvement in social skills. 84. When I did an observation, the teacher was just dumbfounded. She was a 3rd grade teacher. She had never, getting the kids to take turns and be considerate of each other, she said, had always been a problem. They were always, like, in 3rd grade for her group in her area, they had been very, me-centered. She said, now it is the wildest thing to watch. I don't think, that child has had a turn yet. I'm going to play with this and let them play with that. And when they brought these kids in, it was the kids that took responsibility for it. I expected to see jump ropes scattered, tennis balls random, just thrown about. There was nothing. When I tell you, these kids just deployed out, everybody in the bag, on the shoulder, in line. It was incredible. So stress and anxiety reduction, 72%. They're doing amazing. The program really does seem to help give recess life. So Okay. Colleen, are you ready to jump back in?
Yeah. So in
Go for it.
2025, this school year, we set a goal to distribute 1,200 recess kits through Central Florida public schools. We have already exceeded that goal, and we know we are on track to impact more than 26,000 kids this calendar year in 8 Florida counties. So this is your call to action. This is how you can help. Back to my girlfriend, Ashley.
Excellent. Okay. So how can you help right now? You can scan this QR code that's up on your screen. That's going to pop up a contact card for me. Now, I think it may have a different haircut, but I swear it's me. So save that. It's got not just my information, but it's got all of our socials listed on there. It's got our website. It's got our QGIF. It's got literally everything about Grow in one place. Nice, neat little package. So scan that, save that. You will have everything you need to know to follow us on social media. So that is something that you can do. You can keep track of, what all we're doing. Colleen has us going 1,000,000 miles a minute. So there's always something in the mix and always something going on. So like and follow us. If anything resonates with you, share it, tag us. We appreciate any and all of that. But then, how can you help after you leave today? Recess is constantly, it feels like, low-hanging fruit. That's what they reach for first, to do, like Dr. Candelori said, to build in the learning minutes, and it's ill-advised. So you can let other people know, because recess just seems to be kind of a throwaway if you don't pay attention, if you don't know. If you don't know how vitally important it is, it's easy to dismiss. So educate others, just let them know, no, play is hugely important. All the developments, what that means to teachers. Why should they care? Well, better focus, better classroom behavior. Do you like higher test scores? I know I do. These are things that recess can give to you. You can also advocate for recess. So when we are under it, when they're looking to chop it up, anybody that spent any time in an elementary school knows that at best for a 20-minute recess, and this is if everybody is behaving and these are older kids, you get 12 minutes of play. I timed it, and because you got to line up kids, that's not instantaneous. So don't let them break it up. If anything, we need more time for recess. So advocate, encourage organizations to think beyond the backpack. So back to school, most people don't think about recess until they're standing in an empty field or a bus loop with nothing to do. So any teacher friends that you have, if you are a teacher, pretty please include these things on your Amazon wish list. Five Below can help you out for $5. Tell your parents, don't buy it yourself. Use money already. PTAs can help. Community organizations, Rotaries, Kiwanis, all of those places. Think beyond the backpack. Okay. So also, if you have a moment, we are super, super proud of this. In a venture with Orlando Health, we have a beautiful booklet that they have published, Healthy Kids, Healthy Communities. And if you scan the QR code, it'll pull up the digital version of that book. We also have it available in print. So as part of the distribution after the presentation wraps up, we will be sending out the link for this as well as the replay for the presentation. So beautiful. All right, guys, got any questions? We have answers, maybe, and our answer maybe I don't know. So I don't know, but we'll figure it out. So what questions can we answer for you, Miss Tammy? Tammy,
Thank you.
What's going on?
Thank you for your presentation. Question is, I know the importance of children having their free play without adult interference, but I wonder if some of these kids would benefit from having kind of like a play coach during recess that kind of keeps out of the social and the other stuff, but only is there to teach the skills of play. For example, do kids still do double dutch? you mentioned about kids not knowing what the hoop was for. You know what I mean? Like just going there, kind of introducing kids, okay, this is how you play this game. This is how you play that game. And then you step out and let them take over.
We have heard several schools that have volunteers, parent volunteers that go in during recess to serve in that function. You know, but it really just depends on the bandwidth of that core group of volunteers at the school that have that ability to come in and volunteer just like somebody would in the library, but during recess. And the great thing about that for schools that do have that luxury, it allows that teacher also to step back and have that person there, like you said, to coach them to self-navigate, to self-problem solve, to self-negotiate. And we are putting emphasis on helping reteach some of the skills like the jump rope rhyme, hand clapping games. You know, we really want to think about things that our grandparents did for social fun, because there's a lot of good cooperative skills and working together that come from these very, very classic play games.
Yep, so true.
So
Yeah.
we have a digital newsletter that goes, that's going to go out multiple times a year. I'm working on the first one right now, that addresses things like that. So we're able to push digital content to them. And one of those is a double Dutch tutorial by an amazing group of jumpers out of Kenya. It's the most comprehensive one that I've been able to find. And honestly, it speaks to someone like me who has no idea how to double dutch. I have limited coordination and two left feet. So they actually start with, here's how you hold the rope. I was like, okay. And this woman doing some things where they're like, oh, and this is an intermediate skill. I was like, oh, I don't know what that is, but okay. But it is a beautiful tutorial that walks you through all the different skills you need, how to enter it. But double dutch is back in a huge, huge way. So we're including double dutch rhymes. So a lot of those have been lost. So we've got the tutorial on double dutch. We've also got things like, here's how you play Foursquare. And so we've got a video for that. So it helps to alleviate some of the mental work and additional, shouldering for the teachers. If they can just pop up a video, let that do the work, for them. So we've got that. We put in different game lists. So, okay, you need ideas for, hey, it's raining, you're stuck inside. Here's some ideas for this. Here's some challenges, some nifty things that you can do with the scoops. Here's some tennis ball games. Here's some funky things that you can do with cones. So we address that. We also bring in all kinds of different health content from our various partners, and we try to tailor it to the area that the school is in. And then we've got our advocacy videos on there from presented by our friend and board member, Miss Alexa Lorenzo of Channel 9. She does a beautiful job. So we push a lot of content.
Good.
To go
Awesome. Thank you.
And we also encourage people within our community, if you see something that like, this is great, share it with us. Grow Healthy Kids is truly a network of grassroots advocates that we are out there within our community. The more we work together, the more we can help, beyond these 10 counties, because, on that one survey, getting survey response from 29 counties within our state is insane. So, I think with funding across the board continuing to be limited, we're going to run into more schools that don't have the bandwidth to install playgrounds, or finding themselves with that aging infrastructure where they have to remove it, and then they have to make decisions on where dollars go. If you are short staff, or if you need a new HVA system, what is going to win, the playground or the AC? Clearly, it's going to be the AC. Same thing with staff and books and materials that are needed. So it's really important that us as advocates, we stick together, we continue to lift each other and inspire one another, and also, bring people into our network. because it will just help this effort grow further. And we are beyond grateful for Dr. Candelori. We have another doctor, Dr. Justice. We have another PhD who joined us from UCF who studies children physical activity and different health impacts that come from when kids are not active enough. So the more